Mr. Waddy, welcome. Blumenack! Perfect timing. It's your day, sir. Timing is everything. Okay. Did I talk about this morning about my tufts, my quest for tufts, and a container for them? In an effort to get organized, I actually had to go very, 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 very big. And that's because I have this many. So, I've been using three different ones for each army. And, it's barely fits in here. As a matter of fact, I just screwed it up and that doesn't fit in here again. I can't buy any more. I've got to consume some until I didn't know I had this many. So anyhow. Okay. Back to the Huns. Whew. I think I've recovered from mowing the lawn. That was a nightmare. I was in the sun way too long. I took lots of breaks. At least I don't have to mow them too, yeah. Actually, the worst part is that sorry, I got radiation poisoning today. I don't remember what it is. It's the freaking sun, yeah. Slavic Orsevic, welcome. I forgot how to say your name. It's been so. Thanks for the movies from Historicon. I'm glad you guys liked them. We're going to be doing more of that at shows. I don't know that. Almost like I was there, yeah. So you weren't one of the people that got offended by my videos, huh? If you get offended by my videos, you don't need to come to my channel. I'm not going to come up with something new. You know what to expect from me. We have a good time. This guy's almost done. I've got to do the reins. And, oh man, his face turned out pretty well. Hadn't really looked at him. Looks like I got to do his hair. And the mane on the horses that I wasn't able to do because the light was shining in here. Okay. Many people? Nah. One guy gave me some kind of a comment. He's obviously not a subscriber. I'm not going to change who I am. Wasn't really specific about what it was, but hey, we do accents about different people. I can't do a Polish accent, otherwise I would do one. I couldn't do it justice, but if I'm playing Russians, I'm going to do a Russian accent. If that offends Russians, well, I'm sorry. It's not meant to. I don't have anything against anybody from any nationality. You don't get to pick who your mom is or where you're hatched, but we do have fun with it. And you used to be able to do that, and nobody had a problem with it. So hey, we're here having a good time. Tony never offends anybody. Yeah, if I offend you, you got thin skin. I like people from all places, and I also dislike people from all places. we do fake Asian accents in a lot of our stuff. And we love Asian armies, and I have a lot of Asian friends on Facebook. And I'm a little careful communicating with some of them because some of them are behind, you know, in a bad place. You know, they're from. It's not their fault. They live in a country that has a really bad government that I don't really want to buy their products. But it's not because of their race or anything. You know, if I dislike people from a certain nation, I wouldn't be building their armies. Think about it. Although I do have to talk to you. I do have to talk to you about Slavic because my Poles did not do well. I brought my Moldavians with Polish allies, and the Polish allies just, I couldn't roll worth a damn. So I'm taking that up with you personally. No, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the videos. They were a lot of fun to do. All of them. All of them were a lot of fun to do. And that's the best way to get me to do videos, is have me enjoy doing them. There's really nothing you guys can do about it, but I appreciate you guys watching them because it's like, hey, you know, people are also enjoying them. So, you know, it's a nice thing to go back maybe in a couple of years and go, what did we do at a convention? Oh, that's right. Let's watch the video. Yeah, well, I tried to win them. They still look great. So, I love my Poles. They look great. And the nice thing is I ever decided to get a later Polish army. I already got my footprint in and got 4 of their elements already done. So, yeah, we'll try to do some painting. I think my headache's about gone. Had a little bit of a headache from being out in the sun, even though I tried to stay as hydrated as I could. It was a real feel of 105. And I couldn't do it first thing this morning because it had decided to rain overnight. And I needed for some of the moisture to burn off. So I think I may have to consider to have somebody do it instead of me because I'm shot. So it's just too darn hot. Okay. Let's do a couple things. Let's paint the eye, and we're going to consume most of this white because otherwise we'll have a scared horse like just saw a really big rattlesnake or something. Like this atmosphere of parties for players. And I miss them a bit. Even more eyes to see what they look like in your country. Yeah, everybody's is a little different. The ones in the UK that I've seen are really, really nice, but they're only for a day. So we had to do pretty significant travel. So if we're going to do some pretty significant travel, it needs to be for a few days. And yeah, we had a great time. You're allergic to grass, so I have to have a guy for the yard, etc. My daughter's the same way. My daughter's the same way. I've just always done it. I don't enjoy it. The biggest problem I have was that the biggest problem of all of it was we replaced our grass. We had St. Augustine grass, which doesn't mean anything to anybody other than those of us that are in Florida. So I live in a neighborhood that, I'm house on a third of an acre or something like that. So it's not like I've got a lot of land or anything. But we replaced a couple years ago our St. Augustine grass. It's very, very yummy for insects. Always having insect problems with this Japanese grass called zoysia. The Japanese grass is slow growing, and it's hardier against insects. However, it has one big problem. It's very soft. It's very plush. So you go over it and you mow over it, and I have a push, self-propelled push lawnmower, not a riding lawnmower. It'd be more annoying than anything else if I had a riding lawnmower. Just because of space and trying to get in between things. But the tire leaves a rut, when you go over and do it. Well, the grass is so soft that when you go back over it, the rut is pushed. It's pushed the blades of grass down. When you go over it, they haven't popped back up. So, after you go over like 3 or 4 lines, it pops back up, and you end up having to do the whole lawn like twice. And it's really, really annoying because of that. It looks great, but it's really, really annoying because of that. So it's like you're having to mow your lawn twice. And I may just have somebody else do it from now on. I don't mind getting out there and getting the sweat going, but, Zoysia is awesome if your HOA allows it. Well, we didn't ask them. And it looks a hell of a lot better. As a matter of fact, when you end up looking at St. Augustine, it looks really weird. It looks really, really, it's a difference between almost like, a blade of grass that's, this size as opposed to. It's really neat. It's really interesting. And when you have clippings, I noticed it today, it almost looked like dill. Obviously, when they shrink a little bit, it almost looked like I was blowing like dill around, but it's definitely hardier. A rotary mower. What the hell's that? Like a riding one? I don't know. I'm just going to have somebody else do it, and then they can mow it twice. I just hate paying somebody to do it. It's not like it's something that I enjoy doing. It's just, I've always done it my whole life, Even as a kid, I'm going to go back and paint the eyes on these guys. I don't think I did on the horses. I just always did. And I remember my folks would give me $5 to mow the lawn. So I really don't want to pay somebody doctor's wages to do it. But we'll see. So the biggest problem is that, I would have loved to mow it this morning, but I had to wait a little while until it got some heat to burn some of the moisture, because it rained last night for we weren't supposed to get any rain. And it rained last night for maybe 15 minutes. So, it's all good. It's all behind us. And this grass is so good that I mow around Halloween. I don't have to mow again until April. So, it just doesn't grow at all during that time. Have Mitch mow it. He doesn't even mow his own lawn. He'd probably be barefoot out there. Think old-fashioned mower. Oh, no. HOA. If ever an organization needs a meeting with some white Huns. That's right. Well, there's a reason for HOAs, because some people don't. We have some interesting people in our neighborhood, and we don't. I think every neighborhood has trouble people. We have these people that live on the other end of the neighborhood, and they have a Nissan Pathfinder that's probably, let's see, we're in 2022. It's probably a 2018, 2017. It's not older than that. And it's parked in their driveway, and it gets used as a garbage can. Now, meaning they leave drink cups, and I drive by it when we go to the gym, when we go out the other entrance. They leave cups. The kids have painted on it, like finger paint. I'm telling you, it's freaking nuts. If I lived across the street from these people, and I think what it is that they live with the grandparents, and the grandparents just don't care, and they're white trash, and you just can't have people like that, across the street. So you can go from one extreme to the other. You don't want everybody telling you what to do, but well, we got to prove what color you paint the house. Well, that's because you can't have bright pink, So yeah, they're kind of a necessary evil, unfortunately. Hello, bad Chinese food recovering. I think it was Szechuan. Yeah. Fuck Mitch and his damn Chinese bastards. They were all good games. You wouldn't know because we didn't get to film them because, we could have. We had so many few players that we could have just filmed all the games, but how are we going to do that? It's really amazing because there's two things that Han Army has that he is not fond of, and that's cavalry generals and artillery. And he did really well with them. When I asked him, I said, so do you like cavalry generals and artillery? He's like, not really. Thought there was something missing on these guys. This is one of these things, had I sealed them, I could have just gone back and done this the same. They're in a spot where nobody's going to be touching their eyes. It's relatively safe. Okay. All right. This guy's got an interesting color. I did a nice job on that. I didn't notice it. The bow case. I'm mixing them up a little bit. Kind of a red leather type color. Are there any lists from the artillery general? Was that a 2.2 or before thing that was removed? It was before that. I think you could make any element in artillery. Order a writ to remove. Nah, it'd just be easier to get them with a mob. Just have somebody blow it up. Nah, they're over there on that part of the neighborhood. There's problem people everywhere. Best thing, just get lucky and hopefully they're not over where you are. We had some crazy guy a couple years ago. I used to walk in the early mornings with a wife. He started being like confrontational, like screaming at people from across the road. I'm like, we just need to stop walking. This is going to cause some kind of a confrontation. It isn't worth it. Well, the whole thing is you just ignore them, and it still wasn't good enough because I'm not a confrontational type person. I don't need to I'm gonna go. That guy's over there. Let me go pick a fight. That's just not me. That's stuff for Wayne Hamilton to get involved in. I ignore problems like that. I don't want to go to the courtroom or anything like that. Actually, are there any Saloy or Horde generals still around in the rules? I guess Horde wouldn't work that well. I don't know that 2.2 had any Horde generals. There was one list that had Saloy general, and it was the Dog People. And I'm not sure if they still have a Saloy general. I don't think they do. There may have been another army other than Dog People that has a Saloy general. Yeah, I remember looking at that. Hey, you could build Dog People. You could do the Saloy ambush and like run guy around, and he's like a 3 instead of a 2. That could be deadly. That was one of my favorite things to do, but I don't miss the old versions. There's nothing in an old version of the rules that I really miss, because everything has been improved and or clarified. So I don't miss things that we don't have anymore. Okay. And now we need to do little hooves. Am I Spanish or Italian? Yes. Isn't it the same thing? As far as I know, my great grandfathers came from Spain. They came to Cuba, and so we're only 2 generations in Cuba. My dad came over in 1960, and that's it. And I was hatched here. Thank goodness. Praise Jesus. But I have an extremely small family, so I never had an uncle. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have a small family, because if you have a small family, the odds of you having somebody crazy in your family is greatly reduced. By odds, I guess. Hoof time. And that's it, right? He's done? Yeah, I think so. Half of these guys are complete. One of the guys at work was telling me, what was he saying? He was saying something along the lines of, you could just shoot somebody. And I told him, I said, if I'm absolutely dead set on having a boyfriend, I want to pick who it is. I don't want it to be my cellmate, I don't want to go to jail for shit. And, if the laws were gone, yes, tomorrow, I wouldn't behave any differently. Laws aren't there for me to behave. They're for other people to hopefully behave. I don't need them for my behavior. I've been a harmless person my whole life. I expect it to be the same. I'm extremely violent on the tabletop, but maybe if I couldn't do any wargaming, then I'd get really violent in real life. But I'll limit my genocides to 15 millimeter and pewter. Thank Eisenhower and Kennedy for Botch Bay of Pigs. Yep. Yeah, I'm glad I'm born here. But I was also a mistake because I have a sister that's 14 years older than me. So, as I like to say, I really should be born in 1961, not 1971. But I'm glad I didn't have to live through the 60s. Although we're kind of living through them now. I don't know. Yes and no. Be happy with what you have. You could have something a lot worse. Let's see. Do we need to lighten this guy up a little bit? Yeah, if I was born 10 years earlier, I might end up I might have had to play WRG 5th or something like that and have to unlearn all that shit. I'm glad I didn't have to learn earlier versions of DBA and had to unlearn them then. I remember there was that DBA online when I first started playing DBA, and I'm like, oh, this will help me learn the rules. Well, that was a mistake. Because that was a bad uphill battle. Trying to learn the rules and play DBA online, which was different. You played most of the early WRG editions. I never played an Ancients or Medieval game until 2004. Just nobody in my group played them. It's not like I avoided it. I just didn't play it. Went down to Tampa. We used to do Tampa trips all the way to go to Emperor's headquarters in the 90s. And went to Modelers Mart, I think, twice before they closed down. And went to Emperor's headquarters one time and picked up a set of rules called Armati. Because I wanted to play some Renaissance Spanish, and that went through that period. Me and a buddy of mine, he had picked up an Alexandrian army. And I never got the motivation to paint my figures. Never got to play the rules, and I'm a visual learner. I don't know. I got to play the rules with somebody first before I feel like I've got a stepping stone to start reading them. And just never got around to playing them until 2003. I got an email or something I found out through a bulletin board. They were going to put on an Armati game in Lakeland and show people how to play. And I'm like, oh, here's my chance. So I go down there, have a great time, learn how to play the game. And I'm like, well, when can you play this game again? Oh, we run it at HMGS South every convention. I'm like, well, I already go to HMGS South things because I've pretty much gone since 2001 every year, twice a year. I only missed one convention that they had, and this was last year, and I'm not going to go into why, but it was annoying. But I've gone to every one of the shows. Oh, okay, well, I'll see you there. I said, okay. So I show up to play, and I'm like, what happened? Oh, well, this is the first time that people didn't play Armati because they went and left and went to another rule system. I'm like, really? The one time that I frickin' play this game? So, Marty was running DBA. I didn't know anything about it, and, the rest is history. But I showed up to play Armati. And I don't know that I would have liked it anymore, but... You still game with Bernie. Okay. Cool. I guess he's still in Tampa. Same here. I descended from heaven in 1954. I need to have some. I need to have whatever you're drinking, dude. Cheers. Keke, what? Yeah, back in the early 90s when you take road trips and you get butterflies in your stomach and seeing what they were going to have there. Northport, okay. Cool. You still have the 15th century Armada armies for Spanish and Spanish Netherlands. They're gathering dust. I did paint some elements. They look like shit. I'm not proud of them. Let's put it that way. Okay. Oh, these guys look very rustic. So now we got 4 guys done. Let me show you what I mean by really rustic. Let's see if I can get a rep. Let's take a look at the back of them, where the skins or whatever the hell they've got. Let's see what you guys are looking at. Let's see if we can. You played Armada 3 times. I didn't mind it. I don't like how little the units can move laterally. It's almost like if you set up wrong, you're screwed. That's a little too unfriendly. You guys aren't getting the whole picture. It's just typical. Things get washed out. But these are some rough-looking folks. I think this army's going to look pretty good. But they are, very rustic-looking, drab. That's on purpose. So, okay, let's put these clowns off to the side and start working on the other one. I really like the pip mechanism a lot. I like the fact that you can't do everything you want. I think that's a nice, that evens the playing field a lot. And not everybody likes that. It's the first game I've ever played that you can't do that. Things stopped moving around. Okay, good. All right. All right. So we got 4 guys left. And of course, they're 2 poses of each. Let's do these 2 guys. Let's do animated horse bow dudes. Have your new guys come in yet? Nope. That's why it's a day in the sun was short-lived. I don't know. I think that some of the folks really started. What I understand is they argued with the guy with the author a lot. Maybe that's a common thing. Because I know that Phil Barker's the way he is because people argue with him all the time. I don't know. Maybe people have an agenda. They want their own armies to be better. I know that I had a bad experience with DBA with army packs from Essex before I even started playing DBA. I had ordered 2 Armada packs of them, and they sent me the wrong figures twice. That was back when War Games in West Virginia. What is it? Tridelphia? West Virginia? That's where they used to come from. All their army stuff was advertised in the back of Armada. But people are nomadic, there were not a lot of people. There were not a lot of people that came to Historicon to play DBA or a lot of other game systems. One thing I wanted to check out is that I believe, according to the schedule, the author of Mortem et Gloriam, Simon, can't remember what his name is, Simon something or another, was coming overseas to run some games for his system, which looked really interesting. So I was like, oh, let me peek over there. And I don't know that anybody was ever playing it. So, unless you were playing Art de la Guerre or Bolt Action or Flames of War, there weren't a lot of tournament players. So it's all right. It'll be 6 or 7 years from now, nobody will play Art de la Guerre. It just happens. People are just nomadic, I don't let it discourage me. What do we do? A medium color horse for that one? How about, let's use a lighter one on this one. Let's get one of these. How many? Let's move this. This does not need to be right here. This is right in the way of everything else. Simon Hall. Yeah. Did he turn up? I knew he was having some difficult times recently. It was hampering his going to shows. Well, it said he was going to, that he was the GM. Yes. Tridelphia, West Virginia, and the representative of those Essex Minions was a surly Englishman. I always thought that would be my dream job. Of course, it doesn't pay, but drop me in a room with a bunch of figures like Essex, and I'll make up the army packs, and I'll send people the right figures. They make them all, It was just a matter of they didn't give them give them to you. That'd be my freaking dream job right there. Of course, kind of hard to make the mortgage payments, but putting figure packs together. So I don't have a problem with Essex Miniatures. I'm just not going to buy pre-made stuff. I'll buy the individual packs and have extra figures. It doesn't bother me one bit. I am not allergic to extra figures. You might need them. Maybe he never made it. I don't really know. But I know he was doing demo games. It was in the program. And they have a small scale one. I believe it's called Pacto. Tony's dream job, surly Englishman. No, I don't have the teeth for it. I don't not have the teeth for it. There we go. Surly. Oh, I can be surly. I don't know if I could be English enough. Can be a new sport. You race each other's manufacturers around Nottingham and make up army packs before running off to the next factory. Mr. Doc Munoz, welcome. Saw a post for Art de la Guerre Facebook page that they had 50 or so players between the different events they ran. That's pretty accurate. I think that was pretty accurate. Now, I wasn't jealous because they had to lean over a table and it was kind of noisy over there. And that's just too many troops for me to paint, you know. I'm not, it's not really geared for me. But yeah, they had a lot of players. They had a lot of players. Joe bought one of their armies. They were selling one of their armies, and Joe ended up picking up, he's my Hun brother. So he picked up a Hun army and other troops that he could use from some barbarians as well. So, and they're painted pretty well. So he picked those up. So we'll see them in future videos, hopefully. Yeah, Pacto is made to fit most of DBA armies. Lists are all online, but they take a little getting used to. I just figured, hey, get us in a demo game, get Mitch and I to play it, and you know, I just don't want to learn another set of rules from scratch. You know, I don't want to play a game 100 times wrong. I've already done that. I don't mind losing. I just don't want to like win wrong, you know, or lose wrong. It's very unsatisfactory. Now working on the Rome Total War board game. I don't know who that's geared for. I played a lot of Rome Total War. You know, the first one. I've got the second one. I haven't played the second one a whole lot. The first one, I played it a lot. I didn't play it for long before I ended up playing Rome Total Realism. And then, what's the other one? Europa Barbarorum. But that's one of those games that it's so intense, I'll only play it a couple of different nations. You know, so like when I played the Romans, I specifically bought the units in the proportion of Hastati, Triarii, and Principe. You know, I would buy, when I built them, I would have 2 Hastati, 2 Principe, and 1 Triarii, and I would set them up in checkerboard formation. I don't know if it did any freaking good, but that's how I moved them. The problem with Rome Total War is every game is the same game. You know, create a line, hold them back, bring your mobile elements, and rape them in the rear while you hit them at the front, and then just basically break them and then chase them down. And then the guys that chase them down get this insane experience, and then pretty soon they're just kind of unstoppable. And it's just rinse and repeat, you know. One of the fun challenges I had was, and the Europa Barbarorum is a little different. I love to play Pyrrhus. I'm a big fan of Pyrrhus, but it's really challenging because, you know, the way that game works is you know, a Pyrrhus is basically freaking, you know, West Virginia when it comes to, you know, developed, and you know, you don't have the infrastructure to support his army, and so you got to build all that up and take casualties and take ground to eventually you get to a happy medium where you can afford the troops that you have. So, you know, the few elephants you have to treat them like they're, you know, a golden goose. You can't just go throwing them in battle because you can't replace them or anything. But it was really interesting, like trying to, you know, bring your pikemen, which basically can hold anything, and then try to do your mobile elements. But it just kind of, it gets old doing the same thing over and over again, especially when you're playing against a computer and there's nobody really to share in it all. So, you know, it is what it is. It's inspiration to paint figures, but it's not really more than that for me. Interested in DBA, Art de la Guerre is what we play locally. A couple of guys at our club play DBMM, but even admit it's a hard sell. I probably would love DBMM. It's just, I don't want to play it wrong. And it's overwhelming. You know, it's overwhelming trying to get everything right. Funny but true story, I was standing behind a man buying $200 or more 50mm Ancients packets, and that Englishman accused that buyer of pulling some of the packets in his pockets. You were standing behind a man buying $200 or more of Ancients, and that Englishman accused that buyer of putting some... Well, did he have some in his pockets? Because if he did, it's not really a false accusation. I don't know. I guess you could lift stuff if you need to, but... Isn't that why we all have jobs, so we don't have to lift things? Yes, stealing. So was the guy actually stealing, or he just accused him of stealing? I mean, if you're going to steal stuff, why buy any of this stuff at all? Well, I'm willing to pay for some of it. Well, you're still going to jail, pal, you know? Mitch was telling me, he works at a grocery store, and was telling me that they were having a problem with his grocery store has a self checkout line, and he said he was having a problem with people going and buying steaks and taking the tag off of one steak and putting something significantly cheaper, like $60, and buying something that's like, $8, and then people would pay for the $8 thing, but not the $60. So they were willing. Is that like half stealing? They're willing to pay for some of it, but not the other. No, still a crime. Hide 6mm strips in the tread of your boots. Man, minis aren't that expensive. You came to the buyer's defense. Are you ambulance chasing at a game conventions, Wayne? I think it's really unlikely. Just as you probably realize, it's really unlikely that somebody's going to steal stuff, but then willing to buy other things. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I agree. If the guy's like purchasing stuff, like why would he steal extra stuff too? I don't know. I've only had one kind of a bad experience. I don't know if I call it a bad experience, but a strange experience with a with a vendor. And it's not even that strange, but let me just kind of describe it to you. So there was a company that used to sell a figure line that I really like, called Roundwave. You guys can figure out who it is, and you can figure out who it is. They're not in business anymore, as far as I can tell, this particular company, but they used to come to shows, and I love the Roundwave stuff. And they were getting out of the business of selling them. I think they were either going out of business or they were discontinuing them. Somehow I found out about them, probably on the miniatures page back when, a decade ago when I went on there. And but they didn't list what packs they have of stuff, because if you're going to order, let's say, figures for medieval Spanish, you don't want to make an order of 12 packs and only get 2, because it doesn't make sense, because the shipping is 4 times more than the packs are. So I called them up. Hey, do you have this, and the other? No, I don't know. And they weren't going to look. I'm like, well, you didn't get the sale, This was circa 1980. Yeah. Essex Figure's been around that long, huh? I don't think that they were. I didn't think that they were that old, but what's that guy's name? Paul Abbott. All right, I gotta remember that guy. Paul Abbott. Paul Abbott, Essex man. I don't know that he was the rep, but Guy didn't want to tell me what he had in stock. Well, I didn't buy any. Your English Civil War 15 millimeters raw room. I really like them, and I don't know why I really like them, but I really like them. I like the style that they're done in. Oh, this is getting guns. Let's go to a different one. I like the style they're done in. Speaking of Essex, they really cocked up the pricing on the site now. Oh, they really cocked it up. Yeah, the DBA Timrid pack is priced at £11 for an army pack with 36 cabin elephant, 15 folks in it. All right, let's all go in there and order one. We'll cock them back up. I had that army pack. Exactly. Buy. I had that army pack before and sold it. I actually have a lot of Timrid figures from Elaine Toulaire. I should get to them. Their elephant is gorgeous. That Elaine Toulaire elephant is gorgeous. But I have a lot of armies that are aggression 4. I tend to like to collect the assholes of the world. Well, they're the ones you hear about. You know, the guys that sit in their corner and never break out of, wherever it is they're from. You can't be a great conqueror if you're a pacifist. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's all go order a pack. £11. That's like $16, something like that. That's a steal. Oh, did they let you buy it, or did they say, "Oh, this is the wrong price on it"? The army around 40 quid before the price increase. Why is it called quid? Why is it called quid? No, in Essex, it goes up to 50 British pounds sterling tomorrow. Well, speaking of Essex, I talked to the guy who's the trader for Essex at the convention, C&B Miniatures, and they had done something that was pretty cool. They were selling things without shipping, which I guess they could get burnt because people could just order one pack of stuff. But I mean, they would probably cut those people off, But it was just nice that you didn't have to worry about it. They marked up their packs a little bit. I think they were at the time they were like $5.10 a pack, shipping included. This was 3 years ago, whatever, pre-pandemic. And then I ordered from them one time, and they sent me the wrong pack. It was very specific what I wanted. It was when I was getting figures for the Irish, I think is what it was. Back when I was doing my Irish. And then he stopped trading. He said, "I'm not going to trade anymore. I'm just going to do shows." And I'm wondering if it was just, he was in a hurry trying to send things off. And, you make enough mistakes and it's like, yeah, you better not do that anymore. But I talked to him and said, was he going to do any more trading? Because I don't have a problem with Essex Miniatures. I just don't want to buy their army packs. I'll make them up my own. They're taking part of the fun out of it. I enjoy putting the pieces together. I really enjoy doing that. It's a hobby within the hobby. And he said no, it was cutting into his retirement because he was having to go to the post office every day. I said, well, I don't blame you because going to the post office isn't much different than going to jail. I'm not a fan of going to the post office. Mainly because the only time I could go to the post office is during my lunch hour, which I also call holy hour. So Holy crap, he just found a large DBX bass set in the garage. Japs now have basses. Awesome. Seemingly nobody knows where the slang quid came from. We just all use it and nobody knows why. They're British bucks. Yeah. So he said he was going to the post office every day and it was cutting into his retirement. Apparently he's retired and I don't want to do that anymore. He's retired and I think he's in Massachusetts, which I don't know how somebody could retire in Massachusetts. That's a lot, very expensive to live up there. But that's his business. Somebody's got to live up there. Might as well not be me. Even though I'd probably like the weather a lot better. We're simple people easily led astray. Oh, I love it. I'm glad my headache went away. It's still kind of lingering back there, but I'm glad I gave it a shot to do some painting because I didn't want to sit around and not do something productive. This is so much better than watching television or a movie or anything like that, especially if we're going to get involved in conversating about different things. You have something to show for it at the end of the day, and eventually you see these guys get massacred on film. Perfect. Quid came from promissory quotes, quid pro quo, or IOUs. Huh. Damn Latin words. Latin's weird as shit. I figured, oh, okay, I know Spanish. Latin ought to be real easy for me. Well, there was a mistake. There was a mistake. Nope. Not useful for this guy. All right, let's bring this up a little bit. I don't know why this is getting gummied up. Let's give this guy a whoosh. All of it's off. Stuff works really, really well. Really, really well. And probably lasts forever. It makes some huge size. I don't know why would you need more than this for what I do. Maybe if I was doing like real painting, like on a canvas. Not that there's anything wrong with Latin. Well, you use it a lot more than anybody else, I would imagine. I can't decipher what things mean with my limited knowledge. Makes sense. I remember my old science teacher drilling into us that cash taken to the central bank had to be honored in exchange for its equivalent value in gold. Not sure that happens now. Who knows what the hell happens now? Maybe it's better not to know. Actually, I know it's better not to know. So you said QRF had stopped for a while. What they went offline again for a little bit. Well, they ran that big sale. They were running a sale where they had a pretty significant discount through like the end of June, but then all the figure lines. I mean, it was like they had like Paraguayan troops and like I don't know. They just had a bunch of weird shit they had released. It's like, okay, well that's fine, but I don't think you're going to get very many people buying that stuff that you just released. Not that I need them on discount. I just want to have them up for sale, you know. So as soon as we get as soon as we're back in business, we'll order some pre-feudal Scots and we'll make those guys shine, and then we can have all those funny, stupid accents that you guys are asking for. I always need an excuse to buy some Scotch, anyways. A week-long summer holiday. They're back now. Yeah, well, I'm glad you reported that because it is your turn to watch them. You get somebody at work and says, "Hey, where's Mark at?" I said, "I don't know. It's not my turn to watch him." Time for some white. Oh. Yeah, each day I find, or every year I find less and less of a use for eBay. They're just, I'm not anti-eBay. They don't sell the stuff that you want them to. And I've done a lot of trading on there. I've only had one bad experience. And it was a long time ago. I had ordered a model kit that was shown as being new and it didn't have decals in it. So I contacted the guy multiple times, like 5 or 6 times, and the guy wouldn't respond to me. So I eventually say, everything model was fine except I didn't get any decals. And I remember the guy, this was probably 15 years ago. And the guy said something along the lines, "You should have contacted me. Eat the negative feedback," is what he said. That was before I guess eBay has changed the way their ratings are probably for the last 5 years or something like that. Like it doesn't. something's different. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but it's almost like you can't see negative feedbacks that they have, or after a certain amount of time they disappear, or something like that. But I have sold quite a few things on there, not lately, and bought quite a few things on there, not lately, and really only had one. Here it is, gumming it up again. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, boy? All right, we're going to leave this guy as is like that. They have an Instagram with some pictures and big pile of molds. A few currencies of equivalency on demand in gold. Looking to the Instagram picture, it's mostly Cold War coming back into production this week. Oh, who gives a shit? I know they probably have their reasons. I don't need the Scots to be in production now. They can wait, 3-4 months. You know. I want to paint some cloaks with tartan on them. Can't wait. I'm going to paint the entire troops exactly from the movie Brave. I'm going to paint them all. Yeah. In that movie, I found out that Disney actually, they created their own tartan pattern for, I guess, the family or whatever that has purple in it and everything, and submitted it to the tartan Gruppenführer, whoever it is, the people that are in charge of of maintaining the having all that stuff cataloged. So there's an official tartan pattern for the family and Brave. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it's true. I hope it's true. It's an interesting story. So I will be right back. We need a refresher. Back in the late '80s, early '90s, when we used to play Command Decision, I had some British Army of the Rhine guys. I had that, and I had West Germans, and of course Russians. But I really liked the British Army of the Rhine guys because they had chieftains, and chieftains that's a sexy tank. That is a sexy tank. Cold War coming back. Bollocks. They'll get around to them. I'm glad they're not out now. It'd be tempting to get them. Clan MacGuffin. I'll bring what is it? Deep fried Mars bars and scotch. There's a good way to take a nap. Braveheart was inaccurate. Clan tartans was a 16th century creation, not an early 14th century invention. Correct. Yeah, so you can do tartan stuff even as early as Well, I'm going to call it tartan, even though, as we like to call it over here, plaid. But that type of stuff, you can do it with like picks and stuff. I just don't think any of the patterns are necessarily assigned to any particular clans. So, which is actually nice that you don't have to like, paint them a certain way, but yeah, if you do picks, ancient British, Gauls, probably Caledonians, Scots. I even have one of my Irish guys that has. Does he have one? Nah, I think his is striped. I didn't see any evidence of it, so I'm like, let's not go there. Let's save it. Oh, you gods. Speaking of Scots, alternative armies just started their sale. Yeah, I got a lot of their stuff. Definitely old school. I don't have a problem with it, but yeah. Great service from those guys. Great service. What's his name? Gavin? I think his name is Gavin. I had a problem with one of the wagons I bought from him. I didn't even contact him, and they, I guess he heard through the grapevine and sent me a replacement wagon, so I've ordered from him a couple times. That's how you do customer service, so. And I like old school figures. It's not like I've got to use, it's not like I got to use the latest and the greatest figures. All right. Les pants. Trousers. Let's give this guy the brown pants. I have a lot of self-control. Unless it's like really, 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 really cheap. Or something that's not available. Brown violet. Yeah, the only thing with alternative armies is they sell figures by the each, but they only have one pose per. Which is okay. It means I just wouldn't want to make a whole army of just those guys, but I don't mind mixing them in with other stuff. Oh, this is stuck on the end too? Alright, well, we'll have to... Why is that? Alright. I think his name's Gavin. It may not be Gavin. Something like that. So yeah, the figures from Forged in Battle, they were supposedly mailed out on Tuesday, so I expect them in a couple days. They better not show up tomorrow. Nothing pisses me off more than doing an unboxing on a day that's my game day. That would piss me off. I'm not even gonna check the mail. I won't even check the mail to see if they arrive tomorrow. That's literally the worst day it could be. Gavin, yeah. Brilliant guy that goes above and beyond the hobby. He was trying to find copies of the old laser burn expansions, put them back in production. I have yet to see well-painted 15 mm Scottish Highlander regiment representative for the Napoleonic Wars. Many attempted, but seldom achieved. Well, you won't see me do it either. I don't do Napoleonics. So speaking of Scottish, we talked about earlier this morning, we're on our run of going through the Bond movies. And we came across, we're in 1969 right now. We just finished, well, actually I have to go back and watch probably about 30 minutes of it because I missed some of the action scenes. I fell asleep. But it was better than I was expecting it on Her Majesty's Secret Service, mainly because I was expecting it to be absolutely horrid. And it was not. It was not absolutely horrid. I wouldn't even say it was bad. I was pleasantly surprised for some of the action sequences were really cut really bad. But anyways, so going back to the scene, the outfit that he's, if you guys have seen the movie, the outfit that he's wearing when he's pretending to be the person that comes from the heraldry department. He's dressed in, I guess it's like the Scottish dress thing or whatever. How did that come about? You know, because we were all kind of shaking our head like, that's kind of a strange outfit to have. I mean, maybe you guys across the pond are used to it, but it's kind of an alien type of, you know, like dress shirt, kilt, you know. It just seems really weird, like, you know, you lost a bet or something like that. Maybe you guys are used to it or whatever, but the three of us are watching it going, that's kind of a strange outfit, you know. What'd you do, lose a bet? And maybe some of you guys like that. I'm not Scottish. I don't get it, you know. The winner of all those outfits that seems the weirdest is, I guess there's an elite guard or presidential guard that they have in Greece. And they're called something like Ephesones or something like that. And those guys have like a, I think like a fez and pom-poms on their shoes. And I'm like, I don't care how elite those guys are. I wouldn't want to wear that on a dare, you know. Mr. Patriot, welcome back. Ephesones or whatever those guys are called. It's not my people, so I don't know. All I know is I prefer the plaid skirts on girls. Looks better on them for me. That's cool. That's your heritage. That's what you do, you know. I do need to go back and watch. I think I remember about where it is. God, I was expecting that movie to be terrible and it wasn't. That was nice. That was nice. And actually, the only reason I fell asleep, I think, was because it was just late. I've been up really early, painting with you guys. But I found out in the last 6 months, I don't think it's even been a year, that Mitch is part Scottish. I did not know that. I thought he was just all German. Well, you don't know what people's maternal line is because it's not built into their name, you know? It was the first movie after Connor left. It was different, but a good movie. Yeah, I was, and welcome, Stephen. I was expecting it to be god awful. I've seen them all except maybe three of them, and I'd seen that one, but you know, I saw it probably when I was 13 years old, so it's been a long ass time. I didn't remember jack shit about it, so that's kind of cool because it's like a new movie, you know. Did someone imply no Brit guard 15s? No. What was this question? Yet have yet to see well-painted 15 millimeter Scottish Highlander regiments represented for the Napoleonic Wars. Yeah, I want to paint. I want to paint some tartan type things like that. I think it would be. I'm up to the challenge. I just don't do Napoleonic stuff, so have to put it on the pre-fuel Scots. Do some cloaks and stuff for them. Part Scots, he'd get droplets on his toes. I think I know where you're going with that. Yeah. Well, the Scots at least wore shoes, so you'd think he'd be Irish or something like that. The Irish traditionally did not wear shoes during these. I mean, unless they were, you know, I'm talking about the Irish commoners, you know, in these medieval Dark Age times. The Welsh wore one shoe, and they probably stole it. Isn't that what they're known for? I don't know. I just kind of pay attention. I think it's hilarious that all the little nationalities of the United Kingdom have rip at each other. We don't have that here in the state. We have different states, and we all rip at each other. You know. There was a unit of Scottish Highlanders that was in that battle that I went to recently. Well, last year, the Battle of the Bloody Marsh. One of the units, and I think it was only like company size. It wasn't very many. There wasn't very many folks there to begin with, but one of the units was Scottish, and they gave you an example. I should have done a video. I got to go back to that place and do a video. I thought it was really pretty cool, and it's a tiny little skirmish in the 1730s or something like that, but I thought that was pretty cool. That it was so few people, but yet there were so many. There was an eclectic group of of troops that were there. There was Native Americans. There was Scots. There was Cuban Grenadiers. What the hell is that? Black troops that the Spanish used. That's pretty cool. Battle of Bloody Marsh, I believe is what it's called. But I think all told it was less than 1,000 folks for both sides. So more should have been called like Battle of these damn bastards are coming across this land and they got massacred. Yeah, that's what happens when you bring half of a Coke with you. You run out. Right back. Maybe I'll need to watch a game of what's that game? What was that game called by Warlord that we were talking about it earlier today? A demo. I like watching game demos sometimes to kind of get ideas. Shit, I can't remember what it's called. Whatever their musket game is. See again on Facebook, my collection allies of Waterloo is one well represented. Do tartans of 15s, very challenging for many. Hold on one second. No, the foot game. What's it called? Musket? Something musket? Black powder. Black powder. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to watch a demo of black powder. Black powder. I love watching demos. Like when I was looking at Chain of Command, which I've played Chain of Command twice. And there's things I really like about it. And there's things I don't like about it. But I still watch some of the demos that Lardy, I think his name is Richard. Lardy Richard was ran with a couple demos there. And watched them play their game. It's entertaining, especially if the terrain looks good. You know, especially if the terrain looks good. All right, pants are done. Shirt. What color shirt we got here? The Napoleonic Order battle or from the 1909 campaign. French versus Austrians. No British, Irish need apply. Well, it needs to be lighter in color. It's a YouTuber called Napoleonic Wargaming that's sort of a Black Powder's version of you. Oh, he's probably not as good looking, but has a better personality. What's his name? Napoleonic Wargaming. Okay, let's check him out. Napoleonic Wargaming. The problem with those kind of games are that I don't want to play a game, after my experience with DBA, I don't want to play a game where you're not making meaningful decisions every turn. I don't mind other periods because you get to learn about history. At least that's how I do it. I just don't play a game like, oh, okay, we'll paint these guys white. I mean, it's an opportunity to learn about stuff. You know, like, who wants to paint shit wrong? You know, I certainly don't. But a lot of rule systems just have not many fun decisions. Not too many different ways to skin a cat. And I'm a fan of cat skinning. Whatever the hell that means. Paint 15 inches, paint 20 guys, nice telling he's pro painter caliber. Well, we'll see what he has on videos. He gets a lot more painted than I do, I'm sure. I just don't want to get done and be like, man, I could have done a better job. That's my OCD-ness. What time period does black powder go through? I mean, I assume it probably starts Marlboro, right? Marlboro all the way through, I think it goes through Civil War, American Civil War. Probably all the way through, maybe Franco-Prussian? I saw this one website that had, I want to say they were in 15 millimeter and had big stands. I mean, the stands were like, I'm trying to think what the game is. I don't have it. It's called Impetus. At impetus size stands. So in other words, if your normal stand is like this, if this is your normal stand for whatever, this game had stands that were twice as wide or maybe even 3 times as wide. And I want to say it was 7 Years' War, guys. It was freaking awesome. Like, I'm like, I want to play that. I don't know if I'm not necessarily interested in the period, but I wasn't interested in the period. Now I am. It was like, they were like it was really, really freaking cool. And that's what I love about miniature wargaming. When you find something that's not even your period, but you see it and it just brings it to life, and you're like, I want to get in on that, you know? And I should have saved the pictures, but if somebody really knew what the hell they were doing, they were very enticing, you know? So... all right, let's go ahead and let's level this up. So the guys have started playing DBN. And the big change that they did is they went with base widths. And I tell you what, after playing it once with base widths as opposed to inches, it's a hell of a lot better. It's a hell of a lot better. Because inches just, some of the units just aren't mobile. I mean, the cavalry just isn't mobile at all. It just feels like it's infantry that's, mounted on the horses. I'm not saying they need to speed across the battlefield, but they need to feel like they can crash into people when needed. So I definitely like that. And Joel does a good job with his units because he puts like the name of the unit on the background. He's used Litko bases, and then on the bottom of it he puts, hey, this is the 12th Empress Grenadiers or whatever. I mean, I like that kind of shit. That's the kind of stuff I'm interested in, War of Spanish Succession through Franco-Prussian. Okay. So I was right. How the hell did I guess that? They have a supplement for Zulu War and one for Sudan, so they squeezed it in until the turn of the century. Okay. And does it play okay for that stuff? I need to look. I've said this before, and it's just one of my fantasies that I think it would be really cool to do. And this kind of happened to me. We have a group that at our game convention that plays a lot of Sword in the Flame, or they used to. And I said it would be really interesting to do a Victorian World War that does not have any fixed sides. So you could have Germans and French fighting British. You could have, British and Italians fighting each other. The Russians fighting everybody. Depending on what the scenario is. And you would have natives. Because Sword in the Flame, I think, is kind of boring because it's Europeans fighting natives. It's not Europeans and natives fighting other Europeans and natives. I think the sky's the limit. You could do a lot of, reasonable what if stuff. I'm not interested in, doing like, what is it, the ether flyers or that Victorian Jules Verne science fiction. But, I think the Victorian time period could be really cool because there's a lot of what if things that would be reasonable. Because it's kind of a Cold War time period. And, but the problem is that I'd want to do it in 15s. And you would have to do things out of period. Like if you wanted to do Prussians, you'd have to either get something for Franco-Prussian War or Boxer Rebellion, right? There's nothing in between the two. If you wanted to do Prussians, to make figures for Franco-Prussian War, 1870s, and they don't have anything until 30 years later, basically, the Boxer Rebellion. And there's very limited stuff that they do for that in that scale. And same thing for the French, But I think it'd be pretty cool to do kind of a what-if type of thing. So you could have different objectives for different people. But again, it's just an excuse to paint different shit, I'm a painter first, war gamer second. It doesn't mean that I'm not a war gamer. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be as interested in doing miniature wargaming if I didn't get to paint my own figures and play with them. If somebody else supplied everything, I'm kind of a little bit less interested in it. I'm not vested. Because the real way I learn about the period is by researching the uniforms and stuff. And if that's already done for me, well, then I just lost kind of a method that I already used to get knowledgeable. It is a quest for knowledge, ultimately. At least for me. And some people may not care, and that's why I don't think fantasy is very interesting to me, because there's nothing to learn. You could learn the Warhammer lore or whatever, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's just make believe BS, and they're not going to support it in 10 years. What's the longest Games Workshop game that has been supported? Has there been a Games Workshop game that's been supported for like 15 years, or does everything kind of run its course by then and it gets reinvented? Because I'm telling you, for slow-ass painters like myself, that is a bad formula to get them enticed into their stuff. It's not really geared for me. I need to know that a game is going to be around as long as I want it to be around, because I need to paint my figures for it, Not much change in uniforms from Franco-Prussian War to 1900-ish, except for colonial dress. So I can get away with it then. I can get away with it if I decide to get the wild hair up my ass one day. I'd probably base them individually if I was going to do that. Then you could do I like to fantasize about it, and then, look at who makes the figures, see what figures I'd buy, and then never press buy. It's safer that way. I mentioned this earlier, and it was on another earlier feed, and this is probably something really strange until you think about it, and it kind of makes sense. I don't think the internet is great, but I don't think it's as enticing to buy things with the internet now with pictures as it was before. Because before, I can't tell you how many times I ordered something because I wanted to see what they looked like. I wanted to kind of do my own little unboxing and see what the figures actually look like that came in the pack. But now that they show you what all the figures look like and all the poses, you're like, oh, you kind of get that immediate satisfaction without ever having to buy any of them. So it's kind of nice that, you know, you're not. I'm at least not enticed by it as much. No Citadel product has survived without change in rules, basing, etc. Yeah, well, they're trying to run a business. I understand why they're doing it, you know, but you got to understand, I'm a slow-ass painter, and I don't want you wasting my freaking time. One of my favorite sayings is one that I claim I coined myself. Maybe somebody has said this before. But the saying goes something along the lines of, just because you don't value my time doesn't mean I don't value my time. And that goes for work and everything, you know. I don't go on wild goose chases because, you know, we all have a limited amount of time, you know. So I might as well put it to good use. Rule sets update editions solely for dollars. Well, if they're going to reprint them, sure. You know. And they run some people off. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the stories of people that have been run off by Flames of War. You know. Now, not me. I'm a World War II nut. So Flames of War doesn't scratch the itch. I was going to say scratch my nuts. You think Mordheim rules were on their site as a free download until 2010? You could still get the Mordheim specific minis through mail order until around the same time. And I have never heard anybody say anything bad about those. Everybody seems to love the Mordheim. Or I've heard a lot of really good things about it. But it's a small scale skirmish, so they're probably not selling a lot of miniatures. You know. I don't know. They're running a business, so ultimately whatever decisions they have to make that keeps them from going out of business is probably the right decision for them. I'm just saying, as a consumer, you know, how much of the 28 millimeter thing you think is due to the Warhammer factor? There's got to be a big reason that they make a lot of things in 28 is to get people that used to do Warhammer, that are already familiar with the scale, and kind of cross over. For me, I've never done anything Games Workshop, so 28 mil is just a scale that it just would take too long for me to paint everything that I want to for it. Forget cost. I mean, if somebody gave me the figures for free, I still wouldn't do it. It would just take too much of my time. You know, I'd get 4 guys finished. You know, even doing something like Saga would just take too long, you know. Oh, Citadel's now 32? Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. All right, let's, we're gonna use this for the top coat. So let's do a grayer one for the one he's sitting on. I like the round bases. I actually like the round bases a lot. One of the things I loved about Games Workshop, I actually have a Games Workshop thing sitting here, believe it or not. Kicking it like it's 1988. This is a wolf. And how do I know it's a wolf? Because it freaking says wolf on it. I used to love this as a kid. Well, young adult, whatever you want to call it. And I think there's a couple of them that came. I don't know where the hell the other ones went to. And I don't even know why I have this one. I guess I wanted a wolf. I don't know. Slaughter bases, right? Isn't that what those things are called? If you had scads of armies on square, you would have been angry. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Nobody wastes my time. That's what I'd be like. Man, that's a really big paint bottle. That's this camo black. It's not black at all. All right, did we squeeze this stuff out? Maybe not. I'm old school. You either made figures or you made rules. You didn't do both. The first thing I ever saw that did both was when Old Glory released their command. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Because there was, GHQ had their squad leader packs for their big hex squad leader, which I was never a fan of. Was it Red Barricades? Is that what it was called? And Hedgerow Hell? I think that's what it was. But I was going to say it's Command Decision with their Old Glory 15s when I first saw those in the late 80s. I want to say it's late 80s or early 90s. One of the two. And that was the first time I saw World War II in 15 mil. World War II for me had always been either micro armor or 20 mil. And I'm a big fan of World War II 20 mil. And I got scads of guys. Maybe 50 of them painted. Painted well, too. The basing doesn't look good, but the figures look good. The figures look as good as the stuff I do now. That's kind of what pushed me over the edge to kind of, get the shading and stuff right. Because before that, I was just doing freaking vehicles, But big fan of 20 mil World War II for skirmish. And I picked those up at Emperor's headquarters. They had those combat miniatures there, and I absolutely fell in love with them. They have so much character. They have so much character, and each guy looks like a different guy. Really talented guy, that Dave Alsop. So we need more black. So we did 20 millimeter skirmish World War II. And maybe one of these days I'll paint the French Resistance that I have from them. I've got maybe 20, 25 guys of those from old Battlefield Miniatures, Drew's Militia. I forget one I show. They're the same sculptor for both, so. Okay, Wayne. Thanks for stopping by as always. Captain Pugwash. Welcome. Warlords Bolt Action seems quite popular with their figures and rules. Haven't played it though. It is pretty popular. It's not my cup of tea. I've seen it played, and I'm like, it's a little too generic for a World War II treadhead like me. But that's okay, It used to be, that's all we used to play was World War II stuff. That's all we used to play World War II. It's really was growing up, I used to say it was the perfect balance between technology and brute force. But, it's, and when I used to paint that stuff, I'd be like, man, I really wish this picture was in color. And then you do Ancients, and you're like, man, I wish we knew anything about these people. It's really kind of puts everything into perspective, 25 mil was a standard size in the 70s with WRG 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then when DBM came out, you needed 6 by 8 foot tables. So all adopted 15 mil so we could get more tables, and 4 by 6. Well, see, here's the thing I find really interesting is way back when, right? There was figure manufacturers, and they generally did not do multiple poses. But yet, you had to have these huge armies. You had to have these huge armies of all these figures, and they all were in one pose. Like, man, that just had to be, like, torturous, right? Tabletop games release rules and menus together with laser burn and some medieval rules. What's the one that they have? Furioso. Yeah. It's camouflaged. Granted, the rules were more than just TTGs slapping their name on and publishing them rather than crafting them themselves. Yeah, the Renaissance rules are called Furioso, and I actually saw somebody do a demo of it. It actually looked like it had some interesting mechanics to it. But that's way too many figures to paint. If you guys watch my Historicon walkthrough, the guy that had the game set up of the Battle of Ravenna, it's freaking gorgeous. And it had a pipe Glock. It had like 100 figures in it. Like, I just, in 28 mil, I'm like, I'd get burned out. Or have to, I wouldn't be able to paint it at the kind of detail I'd be happy with. And if somebody's going to hold a gun to my head and say, Tony, you got to paint 28 mil from now on, by God, they're going to have more detail than my 15s do now. Because it makes sense. There's more stuff for them to paint. So, where it might take me 4 hours to paint a 15 millimeter figure, shit, what are we talking about? 20 hours for a 28? And there's some pro level 28 millimeter painters out there. I mean, just insane. Just like, I'm not intimidated like that. I'm like, all right, we gotta up our game because I really like their figures, and I don't like liking somebody else's figures more than my own. I don't get angry or anything. I'm just like, okay, I can do better than this. I don't find it intimidating. I find it like invigorating. I'm glad I didn't play all those other systems. Not because I wouldn't have had fun, but man, sometimes it's difficult to forget things. And I don't want to get things wrong, so if it's not the current thing I'm playing, I don't know. There just wasn't anybody playing Ancients or Medievals around me. They just didn't do that, I mean, when I first started wargaming, there was a group that did American Civil War. Yuck. Then they switched to 6 millimeter Napoleonics. Okay, that's better. But one guy had everything, so you just showed up to play and you played with his little ants, And yeah, I'm addicted to finishing games. I'm addicted, not like, well, if the game would have gone on 4 more turns. I've heard that too many times. Nope. We finished the game and your ass lost, pal. Sorry. Better luck next time. Squeezed out way too much of that turd. But you know, you got to play what people in your area play, especially when you're a kid. You know, when you're 16 years old, you're like, you don't know any better. You just showed up to play whatever it is. And some people just disappear. Like there was a guy that he had this game. It was a game. I think it was actually a game by Frank Chadwick called On Guard, and it was almost like a role playing game without the role playing aspects. You just created characters, and you had to try to roll and do different things, and get into duels and try to up your social status. And it was a really cool game. At least you know when I was that age, I thought it was pretty neat. All set in the time period of the Three Musketeers. And this guy that was running it, he had 25 millimeter figures of the Four Musketeers and Cardinal's Guard and everything, and we'd do little battles, and that guy just all of a sudden, like 1991 happened, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth. Moved out of town. He's one of those guys I think that doesn't war game. He like all of a sudden like, okay, work. They do work and they don't war game, and I'm like, I'm sorry, this is therapeutic, and we all have to work, but man, you gotta live a little, man. I don't know. Maybe he was one of those guys that was defined by his job. I'm certainly not. But that was pretty cool. He had a nice little set. That's a nice interesting time period. Three Musketeers. You run around going, ha, all kinds of things, and make silly over the top French accents. Doesn't get much better than that. I mean, everybody knows something about that period. You know, man, I still got a little bit of a twinge of a headache. All right, time for some drugs. Somebody stole my drugs. It just Tylenol. Simmer down. I drank a shitload of water already, so. I got to use the potty. I'll be right back. Okay. TTG had some now long out of print medieval skirmish rules called Retinue, released in 1978. I think some of that ended up in the Proto Warhammer Fantasy rules called Reaper. Huh. Medieval skirmish. So how old are the tabletop games miniatures then? Can picture 1970 being very much a do-it-yourself time without the benefits of the internet. Dude, when I painted my 20 millimeter World War II, there was no internet. You know? Nordic, welcome back. We saved you a seat. The internet is wonderful. The internet is really bad for a lot of stuff, but the internet is really good for our hobby. We can share ideas, you know? We can make our basing better. My 20 mil World War II guys look great, but the basing on them looks like shit. And I'll show you. You know, I didn't know any better. You just painted them green and you dipped them in the woodland scenic shit. And that's what you got. Let's see. Let's get in here. You're the life of the party. Well, I don't know about all that, but, you know. This guy's name broke off. This was Corporal Phillips. This is Private Duncan. And they had a little bit of a shine, because that's back when I used to give them two coats of semi-gloss. For whatever reason, you know, we just didn't have other people to communicate with to do that. Very typical basic, yeah, we just couldn't communicate with each other, you know? So one of these days, I gotta remember to do this. One of these days that, oh, this guy's got a lot of dust on him. Bastard. There you go, chap. This guy is, one of these days when I do one of the basings for one of my other armies, I'm gonna just I'm going to put goop on here and try to fix up the basing, put some tufts, and then I'll be like, oh shit, now I got to redo all my 20 millimeter troops. And then it'll be my excuse why I don't get my army done. Yeah, we didn't know any better. You couldn't communicate with folks, so. The 70s I saw was a lot of like gloss figures. I saw several of those at the Historicon, people trying to sell them. I'm like, dude, ease up on the gloss. I mean, it was like shinier than my car's ever been. It's an easy fix. Just put this stuff on it. This will dull it big time. You're having flashbacks, painting my British Red Devils looking at those uniforms. Yeah. All right. This is Hun number 5. Oh, he doesn't have a shield. Whatever will I do? All right. The interesting thing is other than Joe, I don't think I've had anybody come on here that went to Historicon this year. And, you know, obviously you guys across the pond don't count. I mean, I don't blame you. You know, I didn't go to Salute either, you know. But, you know, the people in the United States, I don't think anybody, nobody has admitted or said, hey, did you see that such and such game at Historicon? I'm like, no. And the turnout was, you know, on the low side. Definitely. Still had a great time, you know. I could just go there and not play any games and just hang out and have a good time. Maybe not a smart financial decision or a good value, but got a very glossy Swedish army, 2 coats of matte, and they look great. They had been very well done, but you couldn't see that for the shine. Yeah. Yeah, the shine just really distracts your eye and sends you in, it makes it hard to focus. Swedish. 30 Years' War? Or Great Northern War? Or you live near enough to the area of Historicon, just couldn't justify the trip there, so I didn't go. Yeah, doesn't work for everybody. Going to Claymore in Edinburgh next Sunday, first show in 3 years. Oh, hope it's a good turnout. Claymore, that's a great name for a convention. Gustavus Adolphus, Swedes. Okay, yep, 30 Years' War. You found a catalog from the 80s with the TTG Ancients listed. If those minis are early 80s vintage, they must have been the best sculpts around at the time. The Sabaton songs about Gustavus Adolphus. Yeah, all this stuff's historical, isn't it? I can't say I've heard one of their songs. But then I'd need the lyrics spelled out because I can't hear well. I listen to song lyrics as well as Stevie Wonder can paint miniatures. I'm really, really bad at it. Really, really bad. I have a hearing problem, so it's understanding, so. Well, I think it's time for the fleshy bits. Fleshy bits. And they're from Sweden, aren't they? I think they are. Visited Edinburgh Castle a few years ago. Got pestered by some kids for some chips. And why is it Edinburgh and it's not Pittsburgh? It's spelled the same way. Had tubes in my ears as a small child. Yeah, I didn't. I probably should have. Used to get ear infections every other month, so I hear you on the hearing issues. I have them as well. Yeah, I never had them, and that's what I've been told is the whole reason. So, I have problems hearing highs and understanding. So. Oh, what a morass this is. What the hell happened here? This went from sunny skin tone to sunny shitstorm. Oh well. We'll have fun with that when we open that thing up again. But, you know. Great, I'll have to paint with the bib on. I'm not used to making messes when I paint. No reason to. All right. This clown with no facial hair. Does he shave or can he not grow facial hair? You be the judge. Crap. Where'd my black go? Oh, it's all the way over there? Good Lord. Put some over here. I just realized somebody who wasn't a historicon as a vendor. And it's a guy that I've always bought stuff from before. And I want to say it was a company. It's the people that have the little penguin. And I want to say it's called Wargaming Company. They have a real generic sounding name. The Wargaming Company or something like that. And they always have a lot of, I want to say, maybe it's not Timecast. This Timecast is carried by Battlefield Terrain Concepts. But I've got some buildings that I bought for them before. I don't remember seeing them. Because I like using 6mm buildings with 15mm figures. You know, because they're more in line with the game scale. Not necessarily that they go with the figures. It works well. I just remember they weren't there before. The people that have the little penguin logo, I think it has like it's like a penguin dressed as Napoleon or something like that. They're always at shows, and they weren't at this one. I think they weren't there. Aren't they the guys that... 11 buildings, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Aren't they the ones that make that ESR rule set? Whatever the hell it's called. Because in the past, they've had like a little display of their rule set, almost like a demo game going on. They had a nice setup. I don't think I saw them. Another 15mm sales people that weren't there. Yeah, it was definitely dominated with the larger scales. And if you liked 6, you were screwed. Now, one thing was interesting. One vendor actually had 20mm World War II. And of course, it was the 20, I didn't need any, but it was the 20mm World War II that I'm not a fan of, which is figures of armor and artillery. I'm not a fan of their figures. And I have some of them, and you can't fix them sometimes. which I thought was really, really strange because for whatever reason, it's sans resultat. Is that French for and that's the result? No, sans means none. That's not a result. Yeah, ESR. Yeah, I don't think they were there. I think the name of their place is called the Wargaming Company. I don't think they were there. I would have bought some of their buildings. You know? I still got buildings left over from pre. Fuck it. Let's go down a rabbit hole. Get ready. Go ahead. Okay, folks, take your red pill or blue pill. I don't know. I didn't see that stupid movie one time. Let's take a look. One reason I don't like going to cons, big 6mm fan. Outside of Joy 6, there isn't really a convention that has a lot of 6mm. I agree with you. I agree with you, Nordic. There aren't. As a matter of fact, was GHQ there? They may have been there. There's somebody who had a lot of GHQ stuff. They had a lot of GHQ naval stuff. I don't know that I saw any micro armor per se, but GHQ's always been a vendor at the cons. And to make a result, to have a result. Okay. Yeah, something like that. It's definitely a result. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's see what's in my bag of misfit toys. Also known as stuff I bought in previous years that I ain't done shit with. This isn't the bag I was looking for. Let's see if I can find it. It's one of those. I don't know where it is, but I know where it isn't. I got some 6mm stuff to show you, so if you're interested in that, hold on to your panelines. Okay, and I want to say there's one more bag. Good exercise for me to do anyways. Maybe I'll find something and like, ooh. No, I want to say they were in a bag up here somewhere. Maybe they got moved. Maybe they're in one of these. Anyway, there's 6mm shit to show you here. Millish type of shit to show you. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. If you give up, you don't find shit. Maybe. Sounds like a freaking Tiger tank from Battle of the Bulge. Maybe they're somewhere they're not supposed to be. Nope. buy some paint this shit. I've had these for a couple of years and done nothing with them. I'll show you that. I'll show you that stuff too. My pile of shame. I don't have that much shame. Some of you guys are really a lot more shameful than I am. You guys have all kinds of stuff that you buy and don't do anything with. I don't have that much. I don't have that much. Well, that's just gonna be all of it, I guess. I want to say I got some other buildings somewhere else, but let me show you what I got here. Oh, this has got to go back. I kind of want to look it through here anyway, so you guys can come along with me. We managed to get the brown camouflage parts on the Königstiger today. We'll attempt to get the green parts and the dot camouflage as well. The green dot was really cool, fun to do. I really enjoyed it. The painting then puts me off. Struggle with 15 mil, mostly 6 to 18. Okay. Yeah, important lesson learned 6 mil is not about the individual figures, but the group as a whole. Paint the key points on a miniature. Other parts are just not visible. Ah, but you know they're there. People watching may not know, but you know. So here is some of this rubber terrain that I've painted some of. It's actually pretty decent stuff. And hadn't done shit with it. I guess this is a rocky or a rough or something like that. Got a couple of them I gotta do. Here's another one. Luckily I didn't buy any more of this stuff. I knew I had lots of stuff left over. I actually have more than I thought I did. You know, and it's rubber. Couple more of their hills. This is from Battlefield Terrain Concepts. I forget exactly who makes it, but it's good stuff. And what's this? A little pond that I'm going to use as a rice paddy. Here's another one as well. All right. I just happen to see those. I'm like, I need to get to them at some point. All right. Here's some Russian buildings. I know those are your favorite. I should do a terrain paint building day. I should. These are, I don't know who the hell they're from, but they're 6 mil. And they're pretty nice. These aren't. These are older than shit. These are from my Micro Armor days. Oh, well. All right. Where exactly is the freaking camera? It's over here. Yeah, these are probably JR miniatures or something like that. Some Russian World War II building, which I guess could work out for other periods. Here's another ugly bastard from the same. I mean, it'll look fine once it's done painting. It just, I mean, look at the rocks on the chimney there. Not super exciting looking. Thought I was gonna do my little BUA there for the Russians when I got with the Russians done, but that didn't happen. Here's another. Here's another one. Let's see if I can zoom this out some. Get a bigger. Nope, that's as big as it gets. Just finished Zyston DBA Thracians this week, and I'm about to start a Gallic DBA army by Gladiator. I've been sitting around for a few years, thought it's its turn now. GR miniatures and lovely terrain pieces. They did. Look at this little, looks like almost like a chicken coop. Matter of fact, that might be what it is. A couple little outbuildings here. Really, really small buildings. How dainty. I don't know why I haven't done it. They paint up quick. It's not like it's taking a long time. All right, this is a smorgasbord of stuff. Smorgasbord of things here. More World War II stuff. 6 mil. Some kind of a French house or some shit like that. They probably had this thing 30 years, maybe longer. I'll go ahead and put all the buildings in one box. Here's another one. Oh, this one's broken. Because there was another building that's right next to it. We'll move it off to the side. See where there's a crack there in the resin all the way across? I think it's 2 parts. Although you could just use this as something. I don't think you probably use this for like Napoleonic period, but any earlier than that, it's not going to work. All right, what do we got here? We got all these building sets that are like plastic, but they're almost rubber. This is from Safari. It's the Parthenon. But this thing is cattywampus. This like belongs on a hill or some shit that you can put up there. You know, the Parthenon they have in Memphis didn't even have something like this. Didn't even have anything like that. GHQ building, I don't think that I have any. But I don't know where some of these things came from, so I might have bought them at a flea market and have no idea who they came from. Here's another. I want to say this is Timecast. So I got a few of these plastic buildings that some of them I guess are kind of useful for camps or something like that. Here's a pyramid, looks like the one at Chichen Itza in the Yucatan. The Taj Mahal, way after our period. I think it was built in the 1600s. And you can call it something else. Pyramids off in the distance. Whee! Another Timecast building. I think I got these to do like a little German village. Yeah, look at this. This is actually a cool looking building. I don't think this is Timecast. I think this is rougher hewn than that. And this is older than dirt. Bunch of shitty ass row houses. I'm off to the wrong start. Hey, let's paint them all one color. Nope. That's going to get repainted. Some columns here. I don't know what the hell you'd use these for. I don't even know why I have these. I think somebody gave them to me, but hey, you can put them on a Barker marker. Useless. That's why they're in this box. Oh, 3 not enough? Here, have a 4th one. Oh yeah, I went to one of those places that have plants, a nursery, and there was this Chinese-looking bridge. Now the nice thing is it's actually, it looks okay like this, but the lacquer on it is so freaking thick. It's like 1/2 inch thick, so you can't really strip this thing off and repaint it. So I don't really know what purpose this is going to have, other than I could talk about how I'm never going to do anything with it. And here's its cousin. You know, if you could strip this stuff off, but it's got like a freaking thick ass glaze. It's got glaze thicker than a mug. You know, you could tell there's steps down here, but they're covered in so much. Yeah, Columns a bit out of scale. Yeah, just a slight bit. Oh, here's the other half of the building. So this used to go together like this. Yeah. So you can drive your Koenigstiger through between those two French buildings and figure out why the hell they got destroyed. Yeah, because you shouldn't be that close. Oh, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Another one of them rubber things. What else we got in here? I don't know where the hell this turd came from, but that's about all this is. Yeah, they're actually decent little castings. They weren't so heavily glazed. What the hell is this? Remember when you were in school and you'd play with a parachute? And everybody hold end of the parachute out, and you would hold it up and climb underneath. I always liked that as a freaking kid. Oh, there's your damn parachute. I guess this could be a tent with no opening. Stupid. I don't know where the hell. I don't know how I got that. Here's another old ass building I've had for years. Put them in totally awesome or simple green. Oh, simple green won't do shit. I mean, the coating is just like freaking massive. It's got even that crackle on it. Maybe I could leave them in something. I got this orange, Agent Orange or whatever the hell it's called. It's not called Agent Orange, but it's the Old Glory tip of a medieval tent. Where the hell's the bottom? How would you know, right? I don't have it. And then it's part of this bridge. And here's the broken lion. Lion off the end broke off. And I think what I was actually going to do is cut this in half and make it as two camps. So I'm never going to need this thing all the way across. Now this thing actually has pretty nice detail on it. I don't know if you can tell, but it has the lucky seal of, communism or whatever the hell it is on it. But it's got some, it's pretty decent. It's just, too big. Yeah. And it broke here because it's resin, but it's fixable. What else we got in here? You guys enjoying this? I don't even know what the hell I'm going to come across. Pick this little rubber dragon up. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. Nothing. It's just too rubbery to do anything with them. Get back in the bag, dragon. Yeah, you can get some. You can get some buildings at a pet shop. I have gotten a few, but actually, matter of fact, I'm going to show you some of those when we're done with this. We got one more bag of these to open up, and then I'll show you what I've done with the pet shop ones. It's hard to find things sometimes that are the right scale. What's in this bag? Oh, this is this freaking game that I picked up only for the stuff that came in there. Now, these damn game pieces, unfortunately, well, now they don't stink anymore, but I had to put these guys in some kind of soapy water for a long ass time, and they're still kind of like sticky. But look at this little building. Now, I don't remember what the hell this game's called, but here's the reason I got these guys in here. And Rick's here. Good, we can take off. We can have fun now. Remember I was building a walled Chinese city? Here's my attempt of my walled Chinese city. And this is in very early stages of construction. Shit, I was probably working on this 6 years ago, maybe longer. Disregard this. We'll talk about that in a second. So this is the framework for the Chinese city. We'll call it a Pan-Asian city, okay? And what I mean by framework is there's going to be walls that go all the way across it, okay? And towers here on the end. I'm never going to get around to finishing it, but this is my attempt at working on it. And inside here, you would have this in a corner. This is actually from a castle, from a big samurai castle type thing. And you could have some of these other things subdivided. The little individual buildings that would make it up. This is something I was working on a few years ago, and it's probably never going to materialize because it's kind of a big ask. But anyways, this is one of the buildings that came on here, and apparently the game is you can control these things by putting, you're playing the light blue guys. You now control this strong point, whatever the hell it is in the game. And the game actually uses these figures. It's some kind of a deck building game. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I bought this thing probably 10 years ago. Something like that. And the figures are still sticky. So whatever factory these things are made out of in China, they're definitely toxic. And here's a ninja type character. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys know what the hell the game this is. And it also has these little torii gates. But again, I don't know what the hell you would coat this thing in because it's definitely sticky. And I put these things in like soapy water, maybe even some bleach, for a long ass time. They were sticky and stinky, both, and hasn't cured any of that. All right, put that away. Next thing on the show and tell. Hey, I'm Tony Show and Tell. I don't have that much stuff compared to some of you nuts. This is a build your own Stonehenge. And you can get this at like a place like Books A Million or something like that. They used to have it. And his buddy of mine gave this to me, and he took half of them because you don't need the whole Stonehenge thing. But holy druids, Batman. You can make a camp or a built-up area or something with it. I think it paint up okay. It's almost painted up completely. You don't have to do a whole lot to it. Should build a Caledonian army just so I can use it. 2 light chariots and a bunch of fast warband. Yippee! There's a winner. This is a little 3D printed. I forgot I had this. I spent some time trying to paint it, but I haven't really delved into along. Should use that for ancient British or Dark Age British Army. Probably Dark Age British because ancient British, everybody's got ancient British. I'm not building an ancient British army. What else we got? There's something else I had to show and tell. Oh yeah, the aquarium stuff I did. All right, check this out. These things actually turned out pretty well. I actually don't use them very much, but two of these are aquarium things. And I'm trying to think which one of these I did first. I think I did the Hindu one first. And I call this Hindu because this is kind of what it looks like. So there's this fort. And unfortunately, aquarium things have these holes that are inconvenient in places. And what I say is inconvenient is because you put something in there that makes little bubbles for the air to come out. And these areas you see where there's grass, I actually spackled them close, and then put grass on there so you can't tell the spackle job on here. But this has the ground color of my Rajputs. So this is my Rajput fort, and this is, I don't know, $7 or $8 thing from PetSmart or whatever the hell it was. And it even came with some bushes, some plants molded on there. And I think it looks pretty good for what it is. It is hollow. So when I got to the top portion here, see if I can get this under the light. light. Okay. If you look at the top portions here, these went all the way through. So I had to go in from underneath and put a piece of tape and then do some spackle to close them up, because you didn't need a fort that was hollow. That doesn't really get the point across. But I think it turned out pretty well. You know, it took a little bit of sweating, and you know, I think it turned out pretty well. The other one that I did like that is what I call my German one. And it had a lot of holes in it. A lot of freaking holes. It had a huge freaking hole here that went around the corner, one back here in the back. You know, again, it doesn't matter if it has holes in it, but then you got to detail the interior. But to just have a hollow fort, like, how is it even holding together? So, yeah, I've used this a few times. Yeah, it looks pretty good for what it is. You don't think I've seen my Rajput army? It's in a video. It's in a video. I like playing them. I haven't played them in a while, but they're like the third or fourth army I ever built. So, yeah. Anyhow, those turned out pretty well. But sometimes the stuff in the pet store is just too big. You know, it's just too big out of scale. If you did 28 mil, you'd have a lot more opportunity for other things. But speaking to JR Miniatures, one of the nicest things I have by them is this is a shame that it's not made anymore, because I feel like this piece is extremely useful for lots of periods. And this is my little desert village, and it's really nice. They even put you know, different rugs that you might have you washed out there, whatever, up to dry. Got a little ladder in between the two different levels. Detailing on the doors. I really like the way this turned out. So this is my BUA for my Arabs. And I got an army that's on the... at some point I'm going to do it. And that's the Mamelukes. And they already have a village. So, anyhow, this turned out really well. This is a JR's Miniatures. They had some JR Miniatures stuff at Historicon, but honestly, most of it looked like ass. There wasn't a big variety of different things. There's some walls that may have worked, but I just didn't feel like buying something. It didn't look very good. Didn't feel like buying something that was going to just be a pain. And of course, if you need to do a camp, one of the best things you can do, and it's really inexpensive, is build you one of these. And these are just those dowels you use to connect different pieces of furniture. You get them at Home Depot, what have you. And of course, you need to saw them off so that they're straight. But that's all this thing is. And dry brush it up, and I think it looks the part pretty well. The Hoffman. Has anyone had experience with taking lead miniatures on a plane? Ooh, me. It's, I've traveled to Historicon back when I used to fly, and it's no issue. It actually entertains the TSA folks a lot. And it actually makes your experience easier. I know that sounds strange, but it is. It's not a problem. And I even took guys that have needles in. So, I don't want to grab them right now. They're all the way in the other room. But the Triarii, my Triarii have their spears are basically needles. Obviously, they're filed down. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, this is going to be a problem. But it wasn't. It was no problem at all. So, yeah, no problem carrying them on your carry-on. You going somewhere and taking figures? Oh yeah, you're going, where was it that you're... Philippines. You said you were going to the Philippines. I think that's what it was. Yeah, good luck with DBA players there. There was a guy that was really active in the miniature scenes named Ian Thompson. He had a nice blog called Thomo's Hole. And I interacted with him several times, and the poor guy passed away a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's COVID related or whatever, but he was an Australian living in the Philippines. Hell of a nice guy. And he actually has a YouTube channel with quite a few things on there where he did unboxings of modern 6,000 scale, I think 6,000s or 3,000 scale ships. And he passed away a couple of years ago. And I believe the our Australian war gamers know him well. Oh, great, we left these cake topper things. Okay. Making sour cream chicken and julienne potatoes. Getting a Jason and the Argonauts feel from those columns. I still haven't seen that. I know, it's only been out for 60 years. What's wrong with me? Didn't try to avoid it, just wasn't playing. All right, let's see if we can finish this guy up. That was a nice little distraction. Okay, we're in the middle of doing his fleshy bits. I know, I'd probably like it. I love all that stopgap animation. Yeah, it just wasn't on. Wasn't on. As a matter of fact, I've been trying to, find Ben-Hur to show my daughter, and I've never, the original one, not the remake that sucks. And couldn't find that either. And it was on all the time when we were kids. Oh well. Shit happens. Shit happens, and sometimes that shit happens to you. I have painted those designs. Yep, and that was extremely useful. Let me see which ones I painted. I painted two. Here's a little, that guy's got one of them. And then this guy's got the other one. The guy jumping for joy with a moon. Yeah, that was extremely useful. Thank you very much. Yeah, there it is in the corner. For reference. So, these barbarian raping mofos are going to look cool. You barbarian raping mofo. And my hands are still sticky from those things. Anyway, somewhere I've got a Celtic village with little huts to do. I just don't have any of those armies, and have no plans to build like a Gallic an army of Gauls. Everybody I know has them. And once I found out you can't have naked Gauls that painted themselves blue, I kind of lost interest in particularly buying one. Because, man, the jokes would just write themselves for that one. Blue Man Group, Full Monty Edition. And thanks for that file. I have to show out the bitch and see if he wants to cough up the dough, and I'll paint it for him. Have you used that 3D printing site before? He probably will cough up the money. He freaking loves his damn Han Chinese. He calls them Han. Unhand me. Unhand me. Well, I thought I wasn't going to have dinner, but I think I am. How long have I been on here? Holy smokes. 3 hours. That's awesome. No? That's 3 hours I didn't think I was going to be able to get to. I think we're going to stop after we do his fleshy parts. Yeah, I'm not even going to check the mail tomorrow. I don't want to find out my Forged in Battle guys come in on the same day as a game day. Because I want to do a video of the unboxing of them. I was trying to find a listing for the Elaine two-layer figures, and it came up empty-handed. I know he had a site, and I even used Wayback Machine. I couldn't get anywhere. Because I do have some Hun figures from him. I don't know how the hell I got them. But I do have a commander that's supposed to be Attila. See if I can find him here. Well, he's in the Hun bag. He's loose. Oh, I don't know what the light horse rules are yet. We'll have to figure it out. The first thing we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to try is we're going to try to play the scenario normal. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it that if you choose to recoil 40 millimeters, the far edge won't count. In other words, the threat zone will only matter inside. And I think that alone will be enough to kind of tip the balance and make it a little bit more interesting. Let's see if I can find where these Elaine two-layer figures are. There's a bag of these guys. Not very many. They can be only 3 or 4 figures. But we haven't play tested yet. We just talked about it on the car ride. Okay, here's the Mongolian guys. What's this? Here's the Bowman. Here's some Bowman from minifigs that are like some Central Asian tribes. So I think some of these guys will probably work all right on the elephant. Here's some more light horse. There. This is the cavalry guys from the Huns from Gladiator. Here's the Gladiator heavies, which I don't see any difference other than these guys are wearing chainmail, but the horses are on the same. Here's the commander with a butter knife. Here it is. It's this pack right here. I'm pretty sure they're Huns because they used to make them. I don't think they're Mongols. And yeah, here's the Attila figure. from Elaine Toulaire. Maybe he'll be the white Hun commander. And we use one of the other commanders. I can see having a white Hun command stand, and then just one for Attila. And then maybe another one for the Xiongnu's. I'm going to have at least 3 commanders. I got one guy with a butter knife. I got this guy. And then I got whoever comes with a forged in battle. And they may actually have a couple different stands. A couple different leaders in there. But anyway, so we're going to call this an evening. Been on here almost 3 hours. Just over 3 hours. Thanks as always for you guys stopping by. Got 4 light horse completely done. And most of a 5th guy done. And yeah. So anyways, we'll see you guys soon, maybe later this week. And thanks for stopping by. Happy painting, folks.